What's up, guys? This is going to be on Hunter x Hunter. I know there's just a few people who actually care and watch these types of videos. So this is out to those few who actually care and sometimes comment on the Hunter x Hunter stuff I put out, which is, I would say, around one or two. But regardless, you guys seem very interested in this. I'm very into this myself. Unfortunately, I don't have a huge fan base for this, but despite me having a headache and it being like 3 a.m. and it not being a good time for me to do this and feeling ill and stuff, I'm doing it because I really this series is really great and I enjoy it. And the last page, the last few scenes I just read were they just pulled on my heartstrings so much that I really like the series. And I know most people in this world are not going to care. 99% of people in this world are not going to care about this, but for those one or two viewers, and I'm literally mean one or two viewers, some of my videos only get one or two views for the entire, for entire weeks after they're released. Well, this is for you guys. And unfortunately, it's on a very distinct part of the series, which makes it even worse if you're looking at a YouTuber trying to grow his audience by doing broad general topics. But your choices in life sometimes come down to being honest and being proud of what you enjoy versus just faking a sort of generalized interest in things that you don't really enjoy. So rather than making another generalized bland sort of video on some random manga, I'm here to do a sort of short discussion on Hunter x Hunter, specifically chapter 249 and roughly the 50 chapters that came before it. So it's roughly 50 manga chapters in the manga in Hunter x Hunter, and not even the last 50 or the currently released 50, nothing like that, but just this random bit. And this is just out to those subscribers that get it, and they get it because they know that this is a new series to me, and I'm experiencing it. They may have already read the entire thing up until the latest chapter, but they are interested in seeing how someone who is new would experience it. And I think that's great. That's something I kind of want to impart on my sisters one day if they so choose to enjoy manga. And here we go. And this is one of those things where it's going to get a burst of views, and then probably no views ever again. Why? Because it's no longer the latest chapter. In fact, this hasn't been the latest chapter for about 50 chapters already. Hunter x Hunter has, as you know, stopped at around chapter 300. So without further ado, again, spoiler alerts, I am very much in awe with how the character development and the plot is going. Occasionally, sometimes it gets very boring. Sometimes the chapters get very dull and boring. I mean, the whole thing with the selection process and Killua and Gon moving through forest after forest, chapter after chapter, that was boring to me. Okay, it was very grueling to endure that. But this was a stroke of genius. Okay, and this just shows why this manga is on another level. You have manga like Fairy Tail with constantly dull, predictable, generic characters with very generic personalities and generic plots. Bad guy comes, they kill the bad guy. Nothing. And here we have just amazingness. I'm not even going to get into it. It's just It's good plot. It's good, unique personalities that are very very unique, from the appearance to the backstory to the personality to all these deep and sometimes dark things that make these characters unique. And I'm talking about the Gonji player. I believe that's what it's called. It's a board game unique to Hunter x Hunter, and basically the king Chimera Ant is playing this world champion of Gonji, and I've gotten to 249, and my goodness, I mean, this is a stroke of genius. And from the moment she walked in, like, this is what I wanted. Like, I knew from the way she was acting, her whole erratic behavior, that she was not intimidated or scared by the king because she was blind. I mean, that's another unique trait to her. And I knew from the start that she was not going to evoke the same kind of result all the other board game masters had evoked, which was fear and then their quick loss to the king, which leaded to their execution. And we see this. This girl, she has won dozens of matches, and yet at the same time she treats the king as an equal, probably because she's blind and she doesn't know who the king is. She treats the king as an equal, as a fellow human. She is so humble, and yet at the same time so grotesque and disgusting. Snot running down her nose, her like sleeping and like just on her chair with snot running everywhere, and her just being so nice to the king. When the king rips off his arm, she refuses to play and says, don't kill me unless it's through the match. And it's just, I can go for hours explaining why this is so amazing. And this is just a unique character development thing. And please don't call me cocky, but oftentimes I would just I would invent stories in my head and stuff, and this is one of the frequent plot devices I constantly think of, which is just, this guy who's just lackadaisically there, who's just, calm and just matter of fact and just all powerful at the same time. And yeah, just this type of character to come into a scene where you assume the villain to be so far more powerful than everyone else, and then for this person to just come in and sort of do his thing and outclass the king and outclass the villain in a new way. And that was just like a common sort of plot device that I have personally always wanted to put into some sort of story if I one day make manga or something like that. And so I see this, and I noticed the potential immediately from when this chess player walked in. And I just have to applaud her. I mean, she has, in fact, single-handedly, with no sort of fighting capability whatsoever, being blind, she has sort of disabled the king in many ways. She's disabled the king by preoccupying the king for days on end, starving the king. The king has been so engrossed in playing this game that he has refused to eat, and at the same time, he's in a state of emotional and psychological disability by being constantly beaten by this girl. And at the same time, he's even gone to the point of physically harming himself by ripping off his left arm after proposing a failed bet with this girl. And on top of that, disabled one of the royal guards for a temporary amount of time, but still. I forgot her name, but the cat royal guard, she has healed the freaking king's arm, but by doing so, she can't use N, and she can't use her dolls for 3 hours, which provides the advantage for the humans because they were at a complete stalemate lockdown before, but then the cat lady Nemur Pato or whatever her name is, she had to go back and heal the king, which put them at an advantage, and now they're invading the castle. So massive applause to this girl. And here there's a moment where I just wanted to give a standing ovation to this girl because I thought at one point that the king was about to remain injured, refuse any sort of healing while there's a constant bleeding coming out of his arm, and at the same time single-handedly kill one of his own royal guard members. And there's this moment right after he rips off his left arm, the butterfly royal guard, forgive me for forgetting his name, he pretty much goes through this whole spiel and says at the end, if you do not let me summon the cat royal guard and heal you, please chop off my head at once. And he's pretty much saying, kill me if you don't let me heal you. And the king says, come here, let me alleviate you immediately, pretty much saying, let me chop off your head now. And first off, it shows that these chimera ants, at least the king, they have a lot of very respectable traits that I really respect. He shows a lot of honor to the chess player, honor to a fellow human, and it's just a lot of human characteristics that evoke a lot of respect from the reader. The king is doing this because he himself has proclaimed on his word not to take any breaks, and yet here he is backing out on his own word if he were to take a break and heal his arm, which he so chose to give up to the girl anyways. So that's why he ripped it off. And so it wouldn't make sense for him to even want to take a break. And I mean, even if he's so powerful anyways, like having a ripped off arm, I don't think it's that big a deal to him. But still, it shows a lot of respect to him, and I really think he kind of has to have that because he showed like he was so. That was just how he went about playing these world champions and all these other board games, and for him to ever show any sort of disrespect or sort of cheating, it would have destroyed any honor he had. And it seems like this king has a lot of honor in himself, and he would so not choose to give that up in order to win a match. And so basically what I'm saying here is this girl almost single-handedly, with no fighting capability, has almost gravely injured the strongest protagonist of the series as of so far. I mean, we don't know how strong the head of the Phantom Troop is, but I doubt he's that strong. I mean, he got chained up by Kurapika, and he got zetsu'd for good or something like that, and then chained for good. But the strongest protagonist so far has been mortally wounded, and the three protagonists that are the strongest after him, his three royal guard, this girl has almost single-handedly almost killed one of the royal guard, and on top of that has disabled another for a short time. And all of this was unintentional. She was just there lackadaisically playing this board game with the King Chimera Ant. Ridiculous. And let me just explain more why this guy died. This royal guard guy almost died. Basically, after the king says, come here, let me alleviate you, pretty much saying, I will chop off my own royal guard's head immediately to keep my honor with this board game. We never see a panel after that, and it just cuts the chapter, and then we start a brand new chapter with brand new scenes. But I'm assuming like what we see next is obviously the king somehow letting them heal his arm and reattach his arm. And so it's implied that the Royal Guard member did not die. The Butterfly Royal Guard member did not die or get his head chopped off by the King Chimera Ant, which kind of shows how this Royal Guard member doesn't have that much honesty or honor in his statements, at least, because he pretty much said outright, if you don't let me heal you, let me chop off your head. And then the king retorted, let me chop off your head then. And at that moment, Nenrapatu, or whatever his name is, the Cat Royal Guard member, had not arrived yet. So if he was honorable, he would have just walked up and let the king chop off his head. But we see in the next chapter, his head's not chopped off, and Nenrapatu, or whatever the cat's name is, has arrived and is healing the king. So maybe this guy's not honorable. But the point is, 3 royal guards still remain, and the chess girl, she hasn't done as much. Unfortunately, I have skipped. Well, I haven't really skipped ahead, but I read on the Wikia. Unfortunately, I didn't want to, but I was a little curious on the girl's ability, so I looked her up on Wikia, the chess girl, or this board game girl, whatever you call her. And unfortunately, I kind of glimpsed what happens. I saw a picture of what happens at the end, unfortunately, and I read a little bit of the caption without really meaning to, but at the same time being curious. And so I'm not going to spoil it for you guys, but it's sad, okay? And so I don't know the full details yet because I just barely glimpsed it, but it's a sad ending. But at the same time, I mean, it's a lot related to the real world. I mean, this Nen thing, it's kind of like, it can happen in the real world in the fact that the power of Nen really depends on your restrictions. Like, you sometimes have to put your life on some sort of goal, and by doing so, it imparts you with powerful Nen. And in the real world, that's kind of like the same thing. Like, if you stake your life on something, or at least something important, that's a very risky business, by the way. But if you do so, you could achieve a sort of determination and drive that could not have been achieved otherwise, and therefore achieve greater results. Anyhow, I'll see you guys later. Thank you guys for watching all 18 minutes of this. As always, like, rate, comment, and subscribe.